Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. My name is Nur Hayati Abd Rahman, and this is a presentation for a paper titled The Effect of Regulatory Performance on Economic Growth. Basically, this paper is written by 5 members from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, Melaka, and Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Bandung, Indonesia. Okay, to start with, everything about this paper is talking about the upper middle income economy. So I call it as UMI, okay, upper middle income economies. Basically, there are 60 countries in the UMI, but majority of them, as stated by the World Bank report, they are in the middle income trap position. So I started with an introduction asking a question, why the UMI is in the middle income trap position. So I listed 4 reasons why they are in the middle income trap position. The first one, the countries in the UMI majority are not progressing at a promising rate, meaning that the progress of their economic growth is still slow as compared to the high income economies. Number 2, since they are progressing at a lower rate, then they are not able to catch up with the development pace of the high income economies. Number 3, probably because of the weak regulatory performance, meaning that the public sector itself, the institutional quality is very weak. And number 4, when there is a weak regulatory performance, the investors will be reluctant to invest in the UMI. When they are reluctant to invest in the UMI, it leads to another 5 problems that might exist in the UMI. Okay, again, because of the weak regulatory performance, because of the poor institutional quality in the UMI, which leads to the difficulties to attract new investors to invest in the UMI, it leads to 5 problems. Number 1, the UMI will be facing with slower technological progress, and when we have slow technological progress, then there will be reduction of job opportunities, and the experts in the UMI, the brainers in the UMI will be moving out, migrating from UMI to high income probably. It will lead to brain drain problem, and of course because of this as well, it will widen the income inequality within the country and across the region. And finally, because of all of this, the UMI, they are not able to accomplish the Industrial Revolution 4.0, because in the Industrial Revolution 4.0, each and every country require huge, massive investments. And investments, one of the factors or one of the contributors of the main investment is from the investors, from the foreign investors. Yeah? But when the UMI is having weak regulatory performance, this might not be accomplished. Alright. So we come up with the objective of the research is to examine the importance of regulatory performance in enhancing the economic growth of the UMI, because theoretically, of course, but the better the regulatory performance, the better will be the economic growth of a country. But we are going to test and we are going to show you how deep is the importance of the regulatory performance in enhancing the economic growth of the UMI. And the significance of the study, there are 2. One is because it is closely related to the accomplishment of IR 4.0, because if we want to achieve IR 4.0, we require all countries in the UMI to have a better regulatory performance, a better economic growth, sustainable economic growth. And the second significance is, based on the results later on, we are going to suggest to the policymakers to redesign the business regulatory environment so that they can enhance the roles of the private sectors as the main engine of growth. Okay, let's start with the theoretical review of the literatures. Okay. There is one theory called as politicization of growth theory by Hibbs 2001, in which Hibbs in 2001 emphasized the importance of institutional quality to achieve higher economic growth. Meaning, when an economy or when a country has a better quality of public sector, then a better quality of public sector will create a better conducive economic environment. So conducive economic environment will ultimately attract more businesses, more new investors to invest. So more investment will lead to higher employment opportunities, national productivity, and economic prosperity. So all in one, we can say that when we have a better regulatory performance, then economic growth can be accomplished. Economic growth can be even higher. And empirically, one of the measurement to measure the regulatory performance is called as Ease of Doing Business Index. So I call it as EOSB. Yeah. So EOSB normally, based on previous literature, have been used to explain entrepreneurial well-being, entrepreneurial intention, foreign direct investment, domestic investment, export, business creation, as well as the growth of the small and medium enterprises. But the relationship between how EOSB affect growth is still remain underexplored. This is based on these two authors in 2018 and 2019. And because of this gap, this is one of the reasons why we come out with the relationship between EOSB and growth, because it is still underexplored. And previous studies have done this research, but in the cases of Western European, Russia, and African countries, and of course, consistent with previous theory, which is the politicization of growth theory, the empirical review stated that there is a positive relationship between EOSB and economic growth, because when there is an improvement in the regulatory performance, then the environment is more conducive. It will attract more businesses to invest and open up businesses in the area, will lead to a better positive multiplier effect to the economy. Okay. So based on these two reviews, theoretical and empirical reviews, we are going to test, but not from the other perspective, but we are going to test specifically for the perspective of the UMI. We are looking at 30 countries under the UMI. The reasons why UMI is chosen, there are two. One is because they are in the middle income trap position, and number two, as stated previously, there were limited research on the UMI. And we gathered the data for 19 years from 2000 to 2018. And by following the procedures by Ehelborn and Sweckert 2018, we divided all this 19 years period into 5-year non-overlapping averages. So it leads to only 4 data points. Okay. Alright, so this is our model specification. We follow the panel data specification, in which we have the dependent variable, and in the growth model we do have the convergence variable, which represent the convergence hypothesis, and we have the independent variable, which include the variable of interest as well as control variable, the error term, as well as the individual specific effect. So this is the growth model that we use in this research, in which the growth model, which is the Y is economic growth, is a function of the past value of Y. The EOSB is ease of starting business as a measure of regulatory performance, and all these red ones are the control variables that we use consistent with previous growth theory, including population growth, investment, human capital, trade openness, inflation, and external debt. Okay, and since we have large cross sections which have 30 countries but small number of time for period, it leads to the usage of two-step system GMM as a method. So here I am using a two-step system GMM because the system GMM is very useful if you have large cross-section but small number of time. And it is also useful because it allows potential heterogeneity across countries by including the individual specific effects, the mu I, in the model. And it permits the model to be dynamic. Dynamic model means when we add in the convergence variable here, which is the past value of the growth value. Okay, so this is consistent with the convergence hypothesis as stated by Barrow and Salah Martin 2004. And to confirm that the results are true enough, then we conduct 2 diagnostic tests. One is Hansen J test to check whether the instruments are exogenous or not, and Arulano-Bond test to check whether there exists second order serial correlation or not. Okay, so these are the results. The main thing that we are looking at is on the variable of interest, which is the EOSB as a measure of regulatory performance. Theoretically, we found that based on the politicization of growth theory, the EOSB has a positive effect to the economic growth. But our finding is contradict with the theory, because our finding shows that the EOSB has a negative effect to the economic growth at 5% significant level, and all of other control variables are significant except for trade openness and inflation. And in terms of the diagnostic test, all are not significant, meaning that they pass the diagnostic test. Okay, so the contradict findings, the reasons why we have a contradict finding between the current empirical research with the theory, there are one reason because when we look at the statistics of the UMI, the score of the EOSB is quite low for the UMI. Okay, and it shows that majority or some of the countries in the UMI are still having difficulties in starting business, meaning that the score is very low, showing that the business environment is very weak. Okay, it's not so conducive. So the effects will be when the regulatory performance is weak, the first effect is the new firms will have to undergo multiple and lengthy procedures when they want to set up businesses, showing that it is not conducive for new businesses. And of course, they will be not attracted to invest more in the UMI. It signifies lost opportunity for the UMI to lose out new business prospects. And because of this, private sector is important to ensure high economic growth. But in this case, UMI might not be able to move out from the middle income threat position because the EOSB score is relatively very low or is not improved. Therefore, we conclude that one of the possible reasons why UMI is in the middle income threat position might be because of the weak regulatory performance that they are facing right now. And because of this, they are not able to maintain global competitive advantage because new investors will be reluctant to invest. What will happen is that the government should improve. If they want to improvise or if they want to maintain higher economic growth or sustain higher economic growth in the future, the government should improve the regulatory performance by reducing bureaucracy, documentation and lengthy procedures so that they can attract more investors to come in. And of course, when the regulatory performance is improved, both policymakers and central bank need to closely monitor the inflationary condition because it can directly affect the economic growth of the countries. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for listening.